Sue Burton,
Here.
Laura Bellin,
Present.
Gary Waters, Matthew Crutcher, David Harrington, Chris Westerman,
Here.
Elizabeth Gooden,
Something.
I said yes.
Alice Kelly,
Here.
Solomon Ashby,
I'm trying to multitask.
Derek Tallinger.
Here.
We do not have a quorum.
All right, but if anybody does have anything to comment about the minutes, we can't approve them, but please send it to Gail so that she can add any correction, because I saw your email that you wanted to add something
Yes.
to what occurred. And
Yes.
so go ahead and send that to her so she can
think I
amend the
did.
minutes, and then,
But Alice had a
I
concern.
misunderstood what you were saying. I thought you were talking about the bylaws, but
I
we were
was.
talking about the bylaws in the minutes.
Right.
oh, okay.
Oh, that, and so Gail and I are looking at the bylaws, and we're like, that's in here, why is it? So
No,
we'll talk
it
about
was-
it, you were
yeah.
talking about the minutes.
Minutes, yeah.
Gotcha.
That's because that was what anyway, that's what I was talking about.
Yeah, but
Thank
on
you.
page,
On page
Emails
4
help
of 6.
not on, it's not on 4 of 6, it's on 5 of 6. Matthew Crutcher wants to add to the appeals process specific evidence required for the board, such as tax records, social security numbers, etc. Derek Challenger said it may be hard to ask for specific requirements. Alice stated, and that should say Alice Kelly, stated that because we are so close to completion, we should submit the bylaws as is and add a clause to include possible changes at a later date. Laura Bellin suggested that for the appeals process, that there be a limited 30 to 60 days for the final appeal. Matthew Crutcher stated that it could take longer to get information from the government.
The only thing that's missing is, it all started with me asking, is there an appeals process?
Okay.
Because it's absent altogether.
Okay.
So first it was, is there an appeal process?
Okay.
And then it was, let's add one. And then let's have a second appeal that will be the final appeal.
Okay.
Matthew added, let's ask the people for these things up front, or include some content that they might want to provide, so that, people aren't coming back with, oh, let's have this, and
So
that
you-
extends the time.
Evidence you could provide could be things such as.
Yes,
So it's not like you need to provide this, but these are the things that you could.
Yeah.
provide. That's a good idea.
yeah,
Okay.
that's how it,
Okay.
David Harrington just wrote back, if you don't mind me interrupting. He's had some staffing issues in the office and hadn't had a chance to leave, but haven't had time to leave the office, so I'm not sure if that means he's not coming. I'm just
maybe we should
saying
tell
not
them
coming.
that.
Yeah.
Would that give us 4?
I mean, it's already 15 minutes after our meeting. So
Yeah.
By the time he drives here, and you know what I mean. I had a question on the investment committee meeting on page 3 of 6. In here, at our last meeting, we said, hey, there was a couple of people who get paid, Arlie Pritchard, Schaefer Cullen, and Greystone. And in here it says Arlie Pritchard was receiving 35 basis points, or 0.35% total plan assets. Is that a real number, or is that an example of it? Because it says, for example, he
Yeah, no, that's
is.
the real number.
That's the
Okay,
real
so
number.
he was being paid 35 basis points. Now that we've taken him off, he
Yes.
is or will no longer be being paid that?
Yeah, he will not.
Let me do this, because this is not a official meeting. If you want that, if you want the record corrected for minutes, let's do that.
I'm not asking it to be corrected. I'm asking to understand what was said.
Yes,
I'm just asking
that is.
what he is
Yes.
being paid. Okay.
Yes.
And will he, can I ask that?
And let me just say this, and this is the only reason I say this. Essentially, because we don't have a quorum, this is like an email at this point. The problem is, we are now recording your meetings. So we are in a interesting zone right now, because once you don't have a quorum, essentially this is informational sort of meeting. So just like the chair had you do before, we can correct this minute meeting because it's a housekeeping matter. It would be something you'd like walk down to the office and correct. To the extent that we're going to try to get some matters that may need to come in front of all of the retirement board, I don't want you to get into those issues now and not reiterate them when a full panel is here, because there won't be a record of this discussion when Mr. Harrington, Sheriff Waters, and the others are here. So that's why I'm asking you to weigh what it is you're trying to get to the bottom of, and then so that everybody can appreciate what you're getting to.
Okay. Understood.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we will send those concerns
I mean-
to Alice if there
I
needs
think
to be
this is in the
clarification,
minutes and not here.
or Gail, rather.
Okay.
And then we can go back and approve the amendments of the minutes as amended.
Right.
All right?
And as I said, it would be the same. The one thing I wanted to forewarn you of is this isn't. Mr. Westerman's comments wouldn't even be shared as they would in the email to everyone, because it's just the three of you here and the staff. So even if he had sent the same comments in the email, everyone would have seen them and that sort of thing. And I don't want, I know he has some very valid issues and they need to be shared with everyone. I just don't want him to miss
Right.
the other members by addressing them today.
So make a note and make sure you bring it up the next time.
Well, we'll have to show the minutes again when everybody
Right,
does
yes,
have a quorum, so
exactly.
that'll remind me. Can I ask about the RFP, just because I wasn't in the meeting? Oh, wait a minute, maybe it's in there and I'm just not missing it. Just so I understand the wording, we're asking for an RFP in July, and is it due in September and October? Can I ask that?
What we're trying to do, and Gail and I actually have a meeting tomorrow to kind of finalize a good rough draft, and then we were going to ask the I think this is how we said it. Where is that?
It's
We were going
on
to ask the
3 of
investment
6.
committee to take a look at it and then bring it back to the board to say this is what we're going to do with an RFP. Put it out on the street for 30 to 45 days, get the results back, interview the top 2 or 3 candidates, and then make a determination.
Okay. Thank you.
And so hopefully by September, we'd have a contract in place.
Got it.
So can I ask a question just as a,
Housekeeping?
well, as we're doing this RFP, what has come up is that instead of us asking or saying how we're going to pay, we're saying to what we're thinking is we could ask the firms that we're planning on having a fixed fee and we want a proposal for a bonus, and have the firms tell us as opposed to us telling them exactly how we're going to solicit, or how we're going to pay, excuse me. Does that make sense? So they might have some innovative ways, because it's really hard for us besides, it's very easy to say, okay, the flat fee, but if we want to put an extra layer of it, of that we want some type of incentive, I don't know what to propose. And then we're thinking maybe the firms might have some interesting ways of an incentive, and let that be part of their proposal as opposed to telling them exactly how we're going to pay them.
I think this is something we should talk about.
In the
Investment
investment committee.
But I would just make a comment about, has there been any experience with at your conferences and stuff that you've been to, that people do that? I know that incentive pay is very popular.
Most of them is flat fees,
Yeah.
and that's why I don't know how to do the incentive, except as basis of assets, which I don't think is the
An
appropriate.
incentive could cause the wrong incentive,
Right.
right? So let's say me as an advisor, and stop me if I'm getting too much into the wrong area, but me as an advisor, I'm coming towards the end of the year. I know that if I get 10%, I get a bonus,
So you
and
do
I'm at
something.
8%, so I'm going to buy something and sell it a week later to get 10%, but it doesn't help the overall portfolio. So that's something that's causes a bias So I would actually
To
suggest
do
we
something
don't
that might
do it.
not be the appropriate thing to do in the long run.
Yeah, I would suggest that, take the bias out, so don't even offer it.
Alright. I don't think you were in attendance when we decided how we were going to do that, and I think there was a feeling that we wanted some kind of bonus in there.
They get paid pretty well just by a flat fee.
Okay.
Speaking from experience.
I'm sorry?
I said, speaking from experience. All right, we are going to skip over the closed meeting. We did not, I understand, have any applications for retirement, but we did have 2 deceased retirees listed, and if everybody would note that. And also included the number of active participants in the system.
Has not changed since last month. I believe last month was 20 and 20. Sorry, I meant to
Okay.
put that on there, but got pulled away to other things.
Understand. As far as unfinished business, I think that perhaps we're going to have to wait to talk about,
When is the next investment committee meeting?
Next month.
No, she's in investment committee.
Oh, we haven't set up a time frame for that.
Yeah, because next month is
I was
an
going to
investment
try to do
review.
that today, but it's hard without the other
the
two
other
here.
two, yeah. And then if everybody would please take a look at the governance policy and the bylaws, and if you have any other additional concerns, bless you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Bring them to the next meeting for sure.
Have they been updated since the last ones we saw?
The city attorney's office has updated a section.
The
Okay.
ones I sent out in the packet are the most updated version.
Yeah, it has
But
June
there have been changes, okay, thank you.
20th on it.
Yeah, that should be July 5th. I did
I made
not
one
realize.
change.
Yeah, it was just really one change. I just can't remember exactly where it was.
The appeal process.
The
It was in the appeal process. Yeah. And I'm sorry, that revised June 20th, that is stuck. It's not an automatic update, and I'm going to fix that when I pull them up when I get down to the office.
So it's been more recent than that.
Yes.
So it's gone
Said it's more
from,
recent.
July 5th is the
gone
most
from
recent.
your department to their
Yeah,
department.
and then they sent it
it's
back.
Okay.
But the ones that were in the packet and the ones that are in this packet are the most updated version as of July 5th.
Okay.
July 5th, thank you.
You're welcome.
All righty. And do you just want to give us some information on the status of the record retention policy?
Sure, we've been working with Doma
I'm sorry.
Doma on
Laura, did you have
The
something?
manner of voting, I thought we changed that. Let's see, where is that? Page 5.
I think you had suggested, could we just do
I thought we said we just
I
do
don't
it the
think
way
you-
we do it now, rather
Oh,
than
you're right.
a roll call and all of that,
So we would not record each individual's vote. We would just do,
majority.
you're right.
Voice vote.
Pardon me?
Voice vote.
All right. Yes. Are you still okay? I don't have my glasses on. From your expression, I thought you were still, is that right?
No.
You had asked about that, and I thought we said we were going to check into it, and I did not check into it, but I really do want to.
I know it hadn't
We have been
changed.
doing it that way, but I don't know, I know in other boards, we always do a roll call for votes. So if we can do the voice vote, we can change the bylaws. But
We'll take a look.
So give us another month.
Okay, I know it's the same as it was before.
Anything else?
Oh, that's a quick look. I don't know. I'll look it over.
Okay. And then, did we have any updates on the record retention policy, or do you
Yeah,
want
we're
to wait and bring that?
We're still working on it. We have Duma under contract, and we're we have kind of an organization, and so it's just a matter of just the boxes we have, starting to go through those and send them to them to put into electronic storage file, which make it much easier if you put it on a Word. You could recall anything that John Hancock. We can get everything from John Hancock, or a specific date. We can get anything from a specific date.
Part of the issue we're having is there's a lot of duplicates of things in these boxes, and there's no rhyme or reason when they were initially boxed up. I mean, I'm finding just general documentation in with, like, it had investment policies in there, you know, stuff from 1999, and then I keep flipping through and here's stuff from 2011 in the same box, and it's just, it's messy.
You need a librarian or somebody
Great.
to have started.
I'll see you tomorrow then.
You don't have anything else to do, right, Sue?
Right. You got it.
And we are getting, I don't know, we didn't really talk about the investment allocation, but we are getting, the Greystone has been moving the funds, and so we're getting agreements with different agencies to get our statements via electronic email and that type of thing. So we're working through those. Sue has signed a few things of those.
Right, and we can't approve the invoices that are here because we don't have a quorum, but just for informational purposes, we do have a sheet attached that has our schedule of historic fund flows and updated through July,
May.
oh, there we are, down at the bottom, through May 31st. So we're still waiting for June of 2017.
Yes, I was hoping to have that because I have discovered that sometimes they get that put out within like the first week. I think the holdup for June is they not only put out the month of June,
But the whole
they put
fiscal.
out the whole year, and that's making it slower. I have checked every single day
Okay.
because I thought it would be nice instead of being a month, 2 months behind, to be able to give you something more current. But apparently not at the end of the year when it's most important. I won't be able
We'll
to do
have
that.
it next meeting.
Yes, you will.
And I'm assuming you got your supplement, the July supplement, in your deposit.
In your direct deposit.
$500.
You know what? I am so bad.
You didn't even notice it.
I don't even look in my bank account very often.
I have probably received 4 or 5 calls about that.
Okay.
They haven't gotten it, or that they did get it?
Just asking about it from the letter that went out. Just asking, well, how am I going to get it? The last one I got in a check, and I asked them, how do you normally receive your payment, your pension payment? Oh, well, I get it direct deposit. It'll be included with your direct deposit. Oh, I get it by check. You will be getting a check.
I'll go back and look.
Yes.
I know I looked at the end of June because we were going to make a big purchase, but pay off a big bill, but other than that, I'm terrible. All right. I guess-
Matthew asked me last time about people's terms, and I
Oh,
do
yes.
have them. I'm fine with reading it today and again reading it next month.
That's fine.
Okay. Sue Burton, you are on your second term ending 9/30/2018. Laura Bellin, you are on your second term ending 9/30/2020. Matthew is on his second. He'll be ending at the end of September in 18. David Harrington is on his second term. He ends at the end of September in 2019. Mr. Chris Westerman, you are on your first term, which ends at the end of September this year. And Gary Waters is on his first term, but it ends at the end of September in 2018. So in 2018, we have 2 people that will rotate off and 1 person who will be up for a second term.
What happens so for me, my term expires, what happens?
Well, probably.
I think Alex just asked me, are you going to serve again?
Right. Or the city clerk's office sends out a letter and asks if you want to continue your service on the board.
And
I
then-
think it's one way or the other.
And then a letter will come to you from the city clerk's office saying that you've been approved for a second term, which will then be ending 4 years.
All righty.
Final thing, there was a request for me to send this motion for a closed meeting to everyone. Is it easy for me to send it to Ms. Mosher and you can get it
Yes.
to everybody?
Yes, that'll work perfectly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll send a copy of the bylaws with the right date on the bottom, and then we'll just highlight what the change that Mr. Challenger made, so that you can see where it is. Okay?
That'd be great. All right, well, everybody have a wonderful rest of July. Thank you for coming. I'm sorry we couldn't approve some of these things, but I think if you look at the numbers, our retirement, things are doing okay.
And Chris, we'll send out a couple of dates for your investment committee meeting,
Okay.
and then whatever everybody works will, by the next week or two. Thank you.
I'd be willing to volunteer to help them with some of those records. Is it something?
Bless
Excuse
you.
me. I felt that coming.
The record retention.
Yeah, is that something that, you could be trained to do? Or is it something you need technical skills for?
I think you probably have all the abilities that are needed. It's more like remembering what you've already seen and what you already have a record of, and then figuring out what types of items should be kept together. And, depending upon how they like to keep their records together, whether they have all the financial statements together. We always file everything like the newest thing is first and the oldest thing is at the back, which used to drive me crazy. I'd try to train kids how to stack magazines when we used to keep magazines, and they'd put the oldest one on the top and the newest one on the bottom. But, everybody, that's a matter of preference, but
Is
certainly.
there like a checklist of things that should be in each file?
Yes, I think we're.
Probably. She was saying
Yeah.
she would consider volunteering to help you